Hello everybody, and welcome to the next installment. I'm going to start calling them installments. The next installment of the Nobody Asked for This podcast. I woke up this morning, I'll just be real, it's a crisp 6:24 a.m. One clock I'm looking at says 6:24 and the other says 6:25, so let's say 6:24 and a half, we'll call it even. And I woke up with a deep curiosity and almost undescribable urge to do red light therapy. Now, I don't know what red light therapy is. I don't know if that is some sort of like I don't know if it's more like a physio thing. I don't know if it's like biological, psychological, spiritual. And I'm not in a position to Google at the moment because I'm doing a very safe, hands-free recording of the Nobody Asked This podcast while I'm commuting in traffic, going very slow. Again, 10 and 2 at all times. But, which is also why you might hear my car. Guys, I don't know what to do with this noise. I was in the drive-thru this morning, and I don't think they could even hear my order because my car was squealing so much. I'll stop talking for a second and you'll be able to hear it. Now, luckily, I'm not too concerned about the audio quality of the podcast because it's probably not that great anyway. Because again, I'm recording on my phone. So, you would probably just assume, it's his, iPhone from 6 years ago just acting up again. So, I'm not, again, too concerned. But I'm gonna have to do something about this noise, especially if it's getting to a point where it's affecting my drive-thru experience. I can put up with a lot. And keep smiling. I'm pretty happy-go-lucky, thankfully. I'm lucky like that. But, no, once the drive-thru crew can't hear me, I really know, I gotta make a change. Because what I won't be changing is my drive-thru lifestyle. Honestly, I think that if I ever lived in a city, you could make an argument, a big city where, I was kind of walking everywhere, you could make an argument, you don't really need a car. I've thought, not that this would ever happen, but, if I moved somewhere, I don't know, again, where I wouldn't really need driving anywhere, do I need a car? No. The thing that stops me is the drive-thru. How do you go through a drive-thru if you don't have a car? Also, I was looking at cars, and there was a couple options that were a bit cheaper, and they were cars that had the steering wheel on, the other side of the wheel, and my immediate thought was, how do you go through the drive-thru? So I was like, I'm so sorry, Mr. Carman, this isn't going to work for me. That's just not going to work for the lifestyle that I currently live in. So, there's that. But I hope I'm going to get back to red light therapy, don't worry. But I hope everyone has had, I hope you've had an amazing week. But if not, I hope you've had a decent week, at the very least. If it is a bit noisy, don't worry. I'm about to turn off into a much quieter road. But I thought, I usually start the podcast. I feel like I go through phases. There was a while where it was I was on a beanbag chair in my basement. That is where I recorded the show. And then there was a time where it was I was recording in the car, but the car was not moving. And then we shifted into a time where I started in the car stationary, then would finish it on the beanbag chair, and then I feel like more so recently, I'll start it in the car not moving, and then finish the last 15 minutes moving. So I think let's usher in a new era where I start moving in the car, and I'll end it stationary in the car. Although I would like to bring back the beanbag chair. I haven't recorded an episode in sweatpants in a while, and it shows. I think that those are particularly good episodes, just where you're the most comfy, maybe the ideas are the most, I don't know, I just feel like I think better in pants that don't have a waistband, even though I try and maximize the amount of time that I'm in pants without a waistband, or I guess not, waistband's not the word, maybe a belt. I just realized I have not worn a belt. Okay, see, now you can hear the noise. I don't know why this is happening, and I know I just have to stop complaining about it and do something about it, but it's one of those things where it's as long as I can get from point A to point B, do I really have to deal with it? But I also know, like, the longer you don't deal with it, the worse it gets, yada, yada, yada. But then sometimes it goes away. That's the thing. If there's ever a problem, but it's, like, off and on, it takes me a lot longer to deal with it. I need a constant annoyance for me to maybe, after 6 months, decide, let's fix this. Actually, the universe knew to send me, like, if there's a problem that you're throwing at me, it has to be like a high-pitched noise that you really can't ignore. Maybe this is a metaphor. Like, if it was like a clunking, that's one thing, but it's not a clunking. It's like a squealing. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, pedestrians crossing the street, like, are looking at me like, are you okay? And I'm looking at them like, am I okay? Like, we both don't know. And if we both don't know, where does that lead us? And I do sometimes look around when the noise starts, and I'm like, hopefully, like, from the acoustics, like, people can't tell whose car it's coming from, especially if there's, like, a truck. You know, like, this person is for sure thinking that it's there. Like, I see people all the time turn down their radio and, like, look around and be like, is that my car? It's like when you smell something on the freeway, and you're like, is that my car burning? I fear I might be in a scenario like that at some point in the near future, and the answer will be yes. So I'm going to do something about that. That will be my goal for this week. I'm going to do something about the squealing noise, because I can't live like this anymore. I'm going to throw money at the problem, and we're going to keep it moving, is what we're going to do. Again, I hope everyone has had a decent week. Back to red light therapy. I actually don't know what that is at all. And because, again, I can't really Google, I want to say it's like for some sort of like physical right? Like it's not like who's honking? Oh, why is he crossing the street? People have stopped caring. I know we've talked about before how people don't stop for like ambulances anymore, or like fire trucks. Like, people will keep going. And I know everyone likes to fall back on, well, if they're on the opposite side of the road and there's a center median, you're fine. Yeah, that's true, but like all of the people I'm talking about, there was no center median. So like, can we please stop for the ambulance? Like, that could literally, you never know, that could be for someone you know. What should I have for dinner tonight? I'm thinking a falafel. And like, I was originally gonna make the falafel because I've had a can of chickpeas in my pantry for about 6 months. Maybe not 6 months, maybe closer to like 4 months. But then I Googled how one makes a falafel. And it's not hard, but it's just like a few more steps than I'm willing to do on a weeknight, and only like 1 or 2 more than I'm willing to do on a weekend. So I might just, and like I'm already kind of like saving up my energy to deal with my car problem, so I might just leave it for now, and do either like a frozen falafel situation. Although last time I had a frozen falafel situation in FFS, I had I'm just gonna be honest, intense bloating for days. So maybe just like chickpeas aren't for me, but they are delicious. Actually, an actual chickpea isn't that delicious, but whatever the seasoning of a falafel is, like, I just love a falafel. Even though it like is dry, like it's definitely dry. But for some reason, you just put enough sauce on something. It's just anything dry is an invitation to put on sauce, which I can get behind. Like an aioli, obviously a hummus. Although I always found it funny to dip a falafel in hummus, because it's essentially the same ingredients. It would be like dipping a banana in like a banana dip. That's probably not the best. Oh, it'd be like dipping a red pepper in like a red pepper spread. It's like we already got the flavor. And it's always funny how the things that are the least flavored make the most flavorful dips. Like a red pepper doesn't taste like anything. A roasted red pepper spread tastes like everything. Even though that's never like, in the lineup of hummus, I never go for the roasted red pepper. I'll much sooner do like the eggplant option or something like that. But again, even eggplant, like baba ganoush. Eggplant doesn't taste like anything. A baba ganoush, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, forgive me, but like, that's good. I think like flavorless things leave room to be flavored, you know? Sometimes if you start with something that's too flavored, then you're just fighting against the thing that it already tastes like. Whereas if you start, you know, on a foundation of, you know, zucchini, you can really build up from there. So I'm really glad we established that. I don't know what red light therapy is. I would like some. I'll take 2. And bland equals good dips. Bland good dips. I mean, if that's not a title, I don't know what is. I was trying to do the math earlier. I think we're like an episode away from our 3-year anniversary, which if anyone has listened to even one episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast, you'll know that I'll tell you on this episode, I'm going to do a big, you know, special episode for the 3rd anniversary. I'm not going to do a big special episode for the 3rd anniversary. The amount of times I've said I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then it's Wednesday, the day before the podcast comes out on Thursday, and I have nothing planned. If I had even a quarter for every time that happened, I would have enough to afford at least one session of red light therapy. Is that even what it's called? The second I'm able to Google, I will be Googling. I think it's called red light therapy. I'm going to be totally honest. I saw it on a sign yesterday while I was in a drive-thru where they could not hear me because my car was wheezing. Everything really always ties back together. The only way that story would have made more sense in the context of this episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast would be if I was eating like chips and dip and falafel baba ganoush, or that's what I was ordering from the drive-thru. Okay, actually, new topic. Which I'm not a stranger to switching topics. I would like to make a list and start pitching foods that I think should be more readily available as a drive-through option. Number 1, like falafel, like wrap, Mediterranean meal. Like, you know when you go to a place and you get like just a big container of like hummus, maybe some rice, some sort of a protein, obviously falafel. Like when you just get all of that on one plate, they need to do that in a drive-thru. I know it's probably the reason they don't is that it's harder to eat something like that in the car. But listen, where there is a will, there is such a way, it's not even funny. I could figure out how to do it. You would need like napkins and stuff, because I always see these videos of these people like taste testing food in their car, and they have like a big ass tray of donuts, and they're like eating them, and they're showing you like with the filling and stuff. I'm like, your cars must be disgusting. Now, I am in no position to be judging. It's always like crumble cookies too, like with the frosting and everything. I'm like, there must be frosting all over your like mat. Like you must have to go to that. Do you know how some gas stations have the car vacuum? Like they must have to be at that vacuum station, like taking the sprinkles off of their kind of floor mat of their car quite frequently, which is something I also need to do. Also probably like a deep shampoo. I think I just need a new car. I need 2 things. I need a new car and then better habits. I should probably flip the order, but I don't know. That just seems like a lot of work if you ask me. Anyway, what else should be a drive-thru? Okay, so Subway, like a sub sandwich, those are... Okay, I have to be so honest. I heard my car in this recording and decided, like, I can't do this to these poor listeners. So it's a couple minutes later, but you will not hear the squealing for the remainder of the episode, I promise. What was I saying? Subway. Those are starting to pop up as drive-through options, but not in my area, or at least not as quick as I would like them to. So I would also like to add that to the list. Chipotle. I would like Chipotle to be A drive-through. I believe there are some Chipotles where they have, and like I say Chipotle, but it can be like any sort of variant of Chipotle. Like, you know, I'm not picky. Especially one of the ones where like guacamole is free, or like you don't have to pay the extra $2. Why is that? Like, what is in this guacamole that they need to charge you $3 extra? Now, to be fair, they give you a hefty amount of guacamole. Like, they don't, you kind of get what you pay for, especially because avocados are expensive, which I guess answers my own question. But it's like, why not? Like, just give it to us for free. You're a big corporation. You can afford it. Everything's going to be fine. Like, come on. What else do I want to be drive-through? Those are kind of the top 3 for now. And again, I understand why they're not in terms of like, would you really be eating this in the car? But like sometimes you just don't want to get up. You know, I don't want to get up and get out. But, you know, that's fine. I guess you got to burn off that, you know, $3 worth of guacamole somehow. Anyway, what else has been going on this week? How have I not talked about the month yet? This is the first June episode of the Nobody Asked For This podcast, which means that in a few weeks, we'll be at July, which is officially halfway through the year. And then once we're in July, it's like only a month and a half before the pumpkin spice latte comes back. And then once the pumpkin spice latte comes back, it's fall. And then like 3 minutes after that is Christmas, and then it's done. Like, just for perspective, we are almost closer to the next holiday season than we are from the previous holiday season. How does that make sense? I feel like I was just taste testing, you know, the holiday themed Pop-Tarts from last year. And in no time, I'm going to be taste testing the holiday themed Pop-Tarts from next year. For, I guess, this year. We are in next year. We're in next year from the perspective of last year, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I'm kind of sweating. I might have to crack a window. Oh, also the weather's still being weird. Like, it might be pouring rain. It might be burning hot. It might be both at the same time. You might need to bring, you know, a couple different changes of clothes because you just truly never know. That's what I don't like. I can make peace with the back and forth. What I can't make peace with is the back and forth within 2 hours, because I don't have time to go home and do like a costume change because you've now decided that it's going to be, you know, 30 degrees when I left, the deal was it was going to be 10. I don't know how to like make peace with that scenario. Even just within my own self. Actually, now I'm in a position to Google, so I will be Googling red light therapy. Red light therapy, RLT, also known as low-level laser therapy or photobiomodulation. I like that better. Photobiomodulation. Involves using low-intensity red or near-infrared light to simulate the body's natural healing processes. Oh, that's cool. It is primarily used for cosmetic and medical applications, including skin rejuvenation, wound healing, and pain management. Hair growth, okay. Skin rejuvenation. Oh, so like scars and stuff. You know what? I don't necessarily have a bunch of scars. I have a few. I used to have one like down the side of my cheek, and I kind of looked like Scarface, even though I've never seen that movie, so I don't know what Scarface looked like, but like in my head I looked like Scarface. And now I've had a beard long enough that like I don't know if it's still under there or not. But for a while I walked around like, I don't know, I looked kind of cool with my Scarface. Again, never looking to brag, but you know, you should see the other guy, is all I'm going to say. Yeah, okay, so I think my intuition was right. I could definitely use some healing. It says, important considerations. Now, this is just, I Googled red light therapy, and it's, I think, the AI thing that pops up and tells you, like, all of the information so you don't actually have to do any clicking. It says, while there's evidence supporting some benefits of RLT, more research is needed to fully understand its effectiveness and long-term effects. Okay, so who decided we're going to start administering this before knowing the long-term effects? That's a bit scary. Oh, you can buy red light masks. Now, they are unfortunately anywhere from $500 to $4,111.18 with, is this $3,000 shipping, or is that the total with shipping? As seen on Dragon's Den. Okay, I'm going to wait for the long-term effects research before I go ahead and, pull the plug on my own, especially one that would ship to me for a hefty price plus $3,000. But I'm open. I'm open to trying. And that's all you can really be. So I'm going to sit here and finish my coffee. What else should we talk about today? I've noticed the coffee shops have stopped giving sleeves. I don't know if that is like an environmental thing. I don't know if we're now in the process of trying to find like the paper straw version of a coffee sleeve. Like, do you know the thing that goes around the hot cup? Also, the cup is paper. Is that a problem? No, I guess paper is good. What concerns me, honestly, more so about the paper cups is like, I've spilt something on a piece of paper before and it disintegrates. So why does the hot coffee, I guess hot or not, why does the hot coffee, the liquid in general, not disintegrate the paper cup? Like, what are they putting in these paper cups to make this feasible? I'm slightly confused. Let's Google it. Okay, so apparently there is like a film, like a waxy film that they put in the paper cup. That's very unsettling. Like, we're all trying to be healthy, drinking our green juice, drinking our, what is it called? Our matcha. Is matcha healthy? I'd imagine it's pretty healthy. And then they're putting wax in the cups? You really can't win. I'm just going to keep drinking Diet Coke. Like, I don't care. At this point... Also, like, what's the study this week on Diet Coke? I feel like every other week they change the rules. One week, it's terrible for you. The next week, like, they're not saying it's healthy for you, but, like, you'd have to drink, like, gallons and gallons in order for it to be unhealthy, which, like, I'm not drinking gallons and gallons. I'm drinking maybe gallon and gallon. Galentine's Day? I don't know. In all honesty, it's about 12 hours, or no, not 12, about 9 hours, who's honking? About 9 hours, who's honking? About 9 hours after the kind of first 2/3 of this podcast were filmed. So I don't know, maybe I'll have a different perspective on things, a different life. Someone needs to stop honking because it's not working. I don't think they're honking at me, but it's so hard to know. It's one of those things where, like, I don't want to be a person that's like, oh no, that's not about me. What? Who's honking? This is very confusing, because I go to, if I hear a honk, like, oh, that's not at me. Because I think, like, where I'm really trying to work on myself to kind of decentralize myself, like, I'm not the center of the universe. But the problem is, if they are honking at you, okay, I'm so confused. I really don't think it's me. My car's not even wheezing anymore. That's why I'm able to record the last little bit of the Nobody Asked for This podcast. Okay, the honking has stopped. Oh, these are nice townhouses. They are just like, these buildings, these condo buildings, these townhouses, they are just popping up left, right, and center. I don't know where the people are coming from that are going to be buying all of these new units that they're building. Not to turn into like a realtor. Maybe that's my calling. I feel like it's back. Here we go. I wonder what I did differently. What I was going to say is I feel like that really is like the career path. I think if you're not someone who, like, from the time you were 2 years old knew that you wanted to be a teacher or something, at some point you will be getting your real estate license. It's just sort of like a natural progression. You'll get your real estate license and you will buy a study book for the LSAT. Now, whether or not you'll pursue either of those professions in a meaningful way is kind of up to you. But, like, you will experiment with those two options: lawyerism and real estate. Especially now, I feel like, isn't there so much money in real estate? The wheezing's back. I can't do this. Why does this happen to me? Okay, I am safely away from whatever horrid noise that is. I do apologize. I really made this your problem more than just mine. But the good news is, I have secured the falafels that I was mentioning in the beginning of the episode. So my plan kind of now, from here on out, at least for the rest of the day, is to go home, because that's number one, and put these in an air fryer, maybe do some rice, maybe a wrap. I don't know if I have pitas. I really should have looked at the dips. I mean, I usually have, like, dips on hand, or I could make a dip with, like, seasoning and maybe yogurt, not to be, like, too healthy, you know. Is a falafel healthy? Oh, so this is like a 400-gram pack of falafels. I don't know that I'm going to eat 400 grams of falafel. So I guess I know what I'm having for lunch tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. I really should have looked at the hummus section. Honestly, I would be so fine and so not surprised if that were my last words on earth. I really should have looked at the hummus section. Actually, in fact, let's really cement that. That will be the title of this episode. I really should have, have looked at the hummus section. That's going to make no sense. But it almost doesn't need to. Like, I'm done making sense. In the second half of 2025, I'm throwing sense out the window. Is it 2025? I don't know why I confuse it with 2026. I think the problem is the time is going by so fast, but also so slow. Like, whoever made up that the days are short and the days are long, but the years are short or whatever, I think that has something to do with having kids. I'm not sure. I agree with that person. Not that I have children. But, like, the days feel like they take forever. But then you look back and it's like, oh, 5 years just went by in the blink of an eye. How is this the same amount of time? And that's always been quite confusing to me. So, I mean, it's nothing I'm going to solve in the last 2 minutes of the episode. So, I mean, not to be a quitter, but I feel like it might be time to wrap this up. Also, my falafel, it's kind of hot outside, and my falafels are kind of starting to no longer be cold. And the package is telling me to garde au réfrigérateur, which I don't speak French. I like to pretend I do. And, like, I low-key speak French. Like, I learned it in school. And I really don't think I've lost it. Like, I maybe know 20% of French, but, like, I left school knowing 20% of French. And I might even at this point know 21% of French. Which makes absolutely no sense to me because I didn't, like, keep up with it at all. But I think I'm just nosy. So when I hear people speaking in a different language that I sort of understand, I'm really inclined to, like, you know, put my head together and put our heads together, but it's just with one person, to put my head together and figure out kind of what they're saying. Not to be rude. And I've never actually, like, I can read French a lot better than I could hear someone speak it on the street and tell you what they're saying. Unless they want to, like, use, like, baby French and talk very slowly and, like, repeat what they're saying, I probably couldn't tell you what they're saying. But if they had subtitles, if there was real-life subtitles, there really should be. I think that would help a lot of people, and I'm being genuine. Like, real-life subtitles. Scientists, work on that. AI people, let's stop with the AI. We're good. We can use it. Let's utilize it. Let's not make it too smart. So let's, end production on that. And just focus our energies elsewhere. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with the screeching noise. That being my voice, and then also whatever noise is happening from my car. I appreciate it. If you like what you've heard, which, I mean, I can't imagine you did, but if you happen to, you can go to podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. On there, I'm also recording this in my neighborhood with my windows open, so maybe some of my neighbors are hearing this, and I'll get some new subscribers. So that's everyone, that's podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. Let's throw together that block party. And, yeah, thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.